Coming up on Oily Trash Movies. No!
Not the tits! I know. That's why, shame. We should both slap ourselves on the wrist. That was so bad.
All right, hello, and we're live. Welcome to Oily Trash Movies. This is the only podcast in the world that's entertaining.
It's true.
We're your hosts. I'm Daddy WarBux.
And I'm Bublegum Barbie.
And this is our second episode of Trashoween.
Ooh, so spooky.
Apologies if we've scared you too much right out of the start here. But we've got a great episode today. We're going to be watching Murdercise.
I'm excited.
But before we get into that, last week we watched a movie that we both really loved. It was we actually kept calling it Super Deep, but it's called The Super Deep.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that you mentioned that. He messaged me and he's like, Bubble, it's the, and I was like, The Super Deep. Yeah, it was a really good movie. I liked it. It was slow, but it paid off at the end.
You know what? Even if it was a little bit slow, I couldn't help but compare it to Unwelcome, which we loved the third act of Unwelcome, which went completely off the rails, and we loved the third act of Super Deep, which also went completely off the rails. But the difference between those two movies were that the Super Deep had enough cool zombie action early enough in the movie to keep us along, and it kept ramping up. Like, we initially had the lady with all of the growths on her back, and then she grew into the entire building, or the entire room that she was in, and then we have, like, the giant super creature down in the basement of the core of the earth, and then, for the third act, we get the giant, massive, grotesque monster. It's perfectly structured, it was perfectly paced as well, as far as keeping those parts of horror, whereas Unwelcome was a pretty traditional and pretty boring movie until the final act.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, just from doing the rewatch, how consistent all of the 70s themes were. Like, there were two separate scenes with the reel-to-reel projectors, we had old school TVs, we had constant references to the Soviet Union, and I thought about American Cherry, how it felt so 90s, but then there were smartphones, and it just didn't mesh well. Super Deep did the period piece way more effectively.
Very, very effectively. I loved the sets. The sets was top tier. I didn't hesitate the rooms they were in. I didn't hesitate the timeline at all. And then I love the fact that they did a full circle where we had this victim who came up to the surface and was doing the same thing that she did when she came up.
Yes, I love cyclical stories like that. Most famous for that, I think, is 12 Monkeys with Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis.
Oh, that one was good.
Which is also a time travel movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of, like, a lot of time travel gets into that cyclical stuff, but yeah, you can almost imagine that the man who blew himself up at the very beginning of the Super Deep, that he had already had his own story where another team had gone down before, and he was the living subject, but he also came to the same realization that this is not something that can be contained, it's not something that he wants to spread to the rest of the world. He blew himself up, our hero blew himself up, and it makes the specific movie feel like it's part of a larger story.
Right. And I love the history behind it. I'm sure that there'll be some historians who, I mean, it's imagination and it's fictional, right? But some historians would really appreciate the relevancy that this film tried to make, and also knowing how that time, and then what the ice, like, specifically at that time where they had like a missing submarine that it's like back in the day in the 70s they lost
a nuclear sub.
Yes, a nuclear sub, and it's in there, and there's so many different missing, all that stuff. So the conspiracies between that area, I think that's a lot of fun too. So I really appreciated it that way. So I recommend it for anyone and everyone. And I think it's also, I did mention this, one of when we were talking about this, I mentioned that Zoomers will also be into this because they could be looking at the phones for the slow parts and then look up when some stuff is happening because it does keep that entertainment going, and it's visually beautiful. Sets are great, actors are good. You know, it's a good film overall. It's a little too long, but it's forgivable because at the end it was very, very rewarding.
Yeah, so we both wholeheartedly recommend Super Deep. I think we've said all we have to say about that. Moving on, a relatively new movie. This came out just a few weeks ago. This is Murdercise. Bubba, what do we know about this movie?
Okay, so the directors are Angelica de Alba and Paul Ragsdale, and the writer is Paul Ragsdale. The budget was $10,000, so it was pretty small budget.
This is a movie I remember when the Indiegogo came out and was promoted on Twitter. This is, I believe, entirely crowdfunded, probably with supplementary funds by the producers and the creators behind it.
Yes, the productions is A&P Productions. That's all I know. The actors are really unknown unless you go into the adult industry, so there might be some recognizable faces for those people. I don't know any of them.
Neither do I.
The biggest actress, her name is Ginger Lynn. She's known by Torn, and I guess that's in 1999. So she's done a lot of like adult-ish, like she was in The Devils. She was in Torn. She was in The Pleasure Hunt, which is a 1984 film, and The Devil's Rejects. So, I think Devil Rejects sounds kind of familiar. I've never seen it.
Well, Devil's Rejects was written and directed by Rob Zombie.
Okay, so she's in it. So we have a Rob Zombie actress.
All right, so we have at least one semi-popular or semi-successful person in this otherwise low-budget indie movie. But A&P Productions, I believe that is a husband and wife. They're out there on Twitter, AP_films_. They also were the creative minds behind /Lorette Party, which has been on one of our to-watch list for... Really, since the beginning of this podcast, I've been wanting to watch that movie. But their new movie's out now, so to hell with /Lorette. Let's take a look at Murdercise, and then maybe we can revisit /Lorette Party for a bonus episode. What's this movie about?
Well, hold on. I know what A&P stands for. It stands for the directors, Angela and Paul. So this movie is 84 minutes, which is the perfect length film, and it's about Phoebe, is an obsessed fitness nerd who gets her big break on a sleazy workout video. After being ridiculed by her co-stars, Phoebe befriends the mafia princess, Wildchild, who teaches her how to murder her way up to the top. Okay,
this sounds like a great plot. Definitely a bit of a slasher feel from that synopsis. So this seems like a great movie for Trashoween. Are we ready to get into this?
Let's go.
You know what's great? These aerobics fitness tapes were sort of a staple of the 80s, and this feels like such a great callback to do an 80s style slasher movie.
How fun. I think it's perfect.
It's the perfect premise.
I already love the costumes here.
All right, we open with the shower scene. Thanks, A&P Productions. Her eyeshadow was still perfectly applied.
Did someone call the police station? Dun, 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 dun. Oh my gosh. She's gonna get bleeped.
Yeah, this is actually pretty bad so far.
Yeah, so far it's pretty bad, yeah. Oh my gosh, look at those eyebrows.
Man, I love the outfits too. All of them. They're so colorful and ridiculous.
Yeah. Her hair's cute though. Candy's hair. It would have been great if they showed the background of all the women doing that move from the back.
Yes. Yeah, I like how you're thinking. Okay, I take back all of my criticism. I love this movie.
Those legs, ladies.
One of the lady going,
Yes. Now
They don't even have room for things because it's just a literal bedroom, a small, not even the master. The camera crew just doesn't fit. Both of the male actors have that stash. I love it.
I mean, that guy looks like he's obviously supposed to be a reference to Ron Jeremy.
Yeah. It's like Limpy would have loved this. I'm so sad he couldn't watch it.
I care about the health of our children and the obesity rate in our country. We have a responsibility, just like the president says.
I love this.
The well-known synthwave background.
I was gonna mention that too. It's like they don't have any money, and they don't have they're not building their own sets, but they're making the most out of what they have to give the feel that this movie is supposed to give you.
We're supposed to be role models!
I wonder which guy do you think did that burp?
That was definitely 80 hard.
It was definitely a guy's burp. Oh my gosh, I was rubbing his nipples. Here's our unknown actress. There she is.
Her name is Donna Stromboli. I make the lasagna.
This is our star, ladies and gentlemen.
Who is that hot young stud over there?
God, she's such a pervert.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's a pervert.
This woman is driving so recklessly. What are you doing?
Oh, she's the low-life daughter.
Oh man, she's got a spider on her midriff there. That was fucking awesome. This is one bad bitch. All of the women are eating bananas.
She has cool girl energy.
This is quintessential punk rock girl.
Oh my gosh, she has a neck tattoo.
It's a bat. Did you see?
I did.
Look, I gotta get this thing shot, edited, and in the can and out to market in 3 days.
I gotta upload this to my YouTube channel, Oily Trash Workouts.
I hate that this movie didn't put a budget on their lights and it looked so grainy just because they're literally only using the office lights.
That's the same red phone that the woman in the first scene answered.
Yeah. I think Limpy would think she's very, very attractive, this woman.
She's talking about how she blew up the toilet.
Hear my shit. Oh no!
I like how the biker guy, if for just no reason, is also dressed as skimpily as all the women.
Yeah, I love it. I love his outfit.
Little something for the ladies.
I'm gonna get really close to
No,
you and just
Candy,
put...
stop!
I'm gonna wipe my...
I hate when this happens, when women do this to you.
I paid for these tits, and somebody's gonna look at them.
No!
Ah! Not the tit.
They're like stabbing like a rubber titty from some sort of sex doll. Well,
He's dead.
should've just put your tits away. You know, this movie isn't so bad for a $10,000 budget, but the audio quality is... Or rather, just the audio levels are so inconsistent. It's frustrating.
I'm into the story here. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
A bunch of hot chicks getting killed. That's what we loved about Killer Goats, and, you know, it's a winning formula.
In the streets, you see ODs, dead hookers, bodies with their heads cut off.
Oh my god, what streets are you growing up on? And I love the classic 80s movie trope of the mob boss. And everyone's always connected to the mob.
True. I'm connected to the mob and I don't even do nothing. I stay home.
He just has a sticker that says Awesome Video Productions on his shirt.
Freddy's gonna take single shots of...
he said shingle.
Gonna take single shots. Single shots.
Oh my god.
A supporting actor, Chuck. Yeah!
Ah, that's great. That's great. You know what this movie needs? It needs to take place... they need to be doing the filming in a gym.
Yeah.
And then you can set up some of these murders. We'll see what kind of murders there's gonna be, but, like, if you had people getting murdered with gym equipment, That would be great. In fact, there's already a movie like that, I think.
Well, what do you want?
It doesn't have a great booty.
Something special for
It's
my
Aunt Mom's booty.
collection.
Ooh, I like that pink light.
It's definitely going for that synthwave vibe. Oh my goodness, that's Phoebe?
Yeah.
She definitely looks hotter.
Oh my god.
I think she come first. Do you think she come first? Because I think the video should come first, and I think you should leave.
She talks like me, but faster.
Oh man, that looks so uncomfortable on that carpet.
I know, they don't even have yoga mats. Like, I get that it's low budget, but the girls couldn't bring their own, like, yoga mats.
Yeah, you know every one of these girls owns a yoga mat.
Right.
Oh my god, the scene where the old hag seduces the young gay man.
She was seducing them with lights turned off.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to be sexy in a brightly lit room when you're 65 years old.
I kind of feel like finding a young picture of her and then posting it on our podcast, like, look at how this cougar used to look.
Ugh.
She really took advantage of the scene. She's like, oh, I get to make out with this young meat.
Oh god, I hope this old woman doesn't take her tits out.
Well, she probably has pretty tits.
Oh god. Look at my tits! Oh, I hate this. Is almost as bad as the manfish sex scene. Oh, it's a cop. Oh, it's the murderers! Is she gonna wind up being a hero because she kills the Skid Row Stranglers?
Oh my gosh! And then they cover and say that these killers were the ones who killed all these actresses.
Yeah, and then she's on the cover. I bet that's the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would feel like the
gross.
worst scene to have to play. Alright, and then the 65-year-old woman is gonna suck on your nipple. You can tell those guys still have creases in their shirts because they've just been opened up.
Well, Mr. Antonio.
You could see the camera crew and the reflection of the guy's glasses.
Oh man, I missed it.
It was real quick. I'll do a freeze frame on it. It's gonna look great.
Take me. I'll do anything.
Yeah, she will. She's gonna take off her teeth and put them in a jar. It's cold outside.
She's like, we did it dinosaur style back in my day. I feel like as the movie's gone on, less thought was put into what exactly was happening.
Chuck!
Chuck! Chuck! Chuck!
Chuck!
Ah! Chainsaw to the head.
Mr. Stromboli.
Aww.
Aww. Mom's goal.
The real prize was the friends they made along the way.
Yeah. Cut to black, end of movie, where's my Coke?
Ah, this was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I feel like this would have been more appropriate as a bonus episode. So this started out seemingly strong.
Mm-hmm. It ended really weak.
And then it devolved from like a slasher into almost a sexploitation film.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is extremely low budget. Ah, God, I don't know. I need a minute. I need a minute to process this, I think. What did you think about this movie?
This was a really bad film. I've seen worse indie films. This one wasn't as bad. It had the elements of 80s. I liked the timeline. I didn't hesitate it being 80s. It had the old phones, the old-timey phones, not one iPhone in sight. Makeup and costumes were on point. Casting was pretty bad. The actresses are all bad, but what do you expect when it's non-union? I'm not gonna put it against them.
See, I thought the casting was okay.
Yeah, for indie film, yeah. For non-union actors, yeah. I wouldn't recommend this movie at all unless you're people like us who find enjoyment in watching terrible movies. I would recommend this movie if you have a foot fetish, because there's a good foot scene there. It was disgusting. I felt uncomfortable. It was zoomed in. I think people who have a foot fetish, they would probably like this. And I did like Chuck. Watch this movie for Chuck.
Chuck was great.
Yeah.
This movie, I think, had a lot of good humor.
Yeah.
Again, obviously, this is not... we keep saying low budget, but I think everybody involved in this is pretty mid-range as far as talent goes. But it had all the pieces. I think they could have been a little bit more thematic with the Murdercise theme, and maybe have more of the kills be associated with exercise. I mean, it's so easy to like pick up a dumbbell and slam it on somebody. Like that would be a perfect kill, as opposed to just a few generic stabbings. We had the one kill at the beginning where she got stabbed in the tits, and then we had the guy's chainsaw face where his head got cut in half and stomped. Those are both great. Everything in the middle was pretty ho hum. This movie lost me with the introduction of the two cops. I thought that whole standoff, basically the whole third act, was extremely slow and boring. Those two gentlemen were terrible actors as well. I think the lead, Phoebe, was actually a good actress. When she was on coke, that was a great scene. When she was just like whining to the Gino, that was, she was very convincing. And really, you talked about the casting. I thought a lot of the casting was pretty spot on. You had the stripper who was all these women were perfect. You had the one with the big tits who was slutty. You had the trashy one who was a stripper. You had the prim and proper one who was uptight. You had the sleazy filmmaker who is losing things to pawn shops and is just a big slime ball. The gangsters. All of those were great components to bring together. And then I think just the capabilities of what the film crew could do with the budget they had wasn't enough to make this a film that would rank not oily. I think I would give this, I don't know, 4 to 5 buckets of oil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make myself more clear what I mean about actresses. Like the characters were, I like the characters of this movie. I liked it more than the Slime-O-Rama characters. Like this one is a little better than that when it comes to the characters and the casting and the acting, but like I love this goth girl a little more than the goth girl in the other movie. She did way better in The Cool Chick, right? And then I didn't hesitate her backstory of her mom being mafia, her dad being a bad dude. I think the fact that she has naturally a spider tattoo on her stomach is sick and it's badass, and I think she's perfect for this role. I agree with you. Phoebe did a really good job in acting coked out. Personally, I don't think I could do that. It's hard. It's hard doing that character, and I think Phoebe did really well in that, so I am impressed with her. And the script was funny. There was humor. I think this one is close to Slime-O-Rama sorority babes of trash. This one, I rate it like 6 buckets oil to 7. I didn't really like it. I was kind of disappointed. I wish there was more. There was sexy shower scenes. There was sexy women in this. There was, they were dying. And I mean, we're not going to be able to show this, but one of our lead, Candy, died by stabbing in the breasts. What more can you ask for? But I guess I wished for more gore. So 7 buckets of oil.
Yeah, I think we both agree that the gore, or at least the kills could have been way more interesting. If you're making a low budget horror film, a slasher film, you have to know. I mean, again, half your audience is there for the sexy women. The other half are there to see those sexy women get murdered. You gotta have the kills and the murders be the highlights of your movie. They have to be interesting. Somebody just walking through and getting stabbed in the stomach, that's not interesting. This movie had all of the pieces. It could have been another Kill Her Goats, which, again, Kill Her Goats was pretty low budget. It might have been a bit higher budget than this, but, it's still obviously a low budget production where they're just in a house. But you had the one girl getting impaled. It's been almost a year since we've seen that movie, so that's the only example I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe I think someone got decapitated at one point. You had interesting kills. It was fun. The kills in this, they really didn't linger. They really didn't take time to appreciate them. And if you're making a horror slasher movie, like you gotta know your audience wants to see these kills, and that's where it lost me.
Yeah, and also you mentioned this. You said, "Oh man, they killed the hot babes first, the hottest babes first." Besides the gothic chick, obviously, that's one big downside. The fact that they killed Candy first, they should have really saved her last, and they should have really like the impaled scene. They should have really taken their time and really enjoyed that moment, because again, people who are into this type of niche film, they want that gore, they want that sexiness, and I feel that they did it, but they didn't really take their time with it.
Like, she takes the chair and, like, smashes the neck of the woman who's the
Mhm.
wrestler. This is Murdercise. What if she's pretending to spot the girl as she's doing a bench press, but puts on more weight than she was supposed to, and then doesn't spot her, and then, she drops the barbell across her neck, kills her that way. Something that's more thematic to, the theme of the movie. Murdercise, it's supposed to be exercise or aerobicise or some sort of gym type setting. Again, I'm just spitballing ideas here. You could have had interesting kills, and you didn't have interesting kills. But I didn't have any problem with the actresses. I thought they were all. I thought their delivery was convincing enough, more so than even Jeepers Creepers, which is definitely the worst acting we've seen in a movie.
Oh yeah, those are the worst actors, and the fact that they're unionized actors is insane to me. Those are so bad. Oh yeah, the sets. The set of this film was forgiving. I know that the fact that they had an entire building was awesome and cool. I would have liked better lighting. I think it would have been great. But the fact that they went at the end, it kind of got confusing because there nothing made sense. There was a main killer was in one room, and then there was in another room where we could already tell as the audience that this is an office building that they rented. It's a small space. Everybody is next to each other, so why wouldn't they bump into each other? Why, that was annoying. It's a shame. I'm kind of disappointed because this is something that looked good as an indie horror, and it wasn't.
I think this is interesting to watch just from the aspect of seeing how the filmmaking process was leveraged to create an end product, given that they only had a budget of $10,000. And I think it's pretty interesting from that aspect, just to see what they did and what they managed to pull off. Yeah, I think we just had really high, like, we saw the trailer for this, we read the premise. I think we just had really high expectations.
I think that's what happened. I think we did go into this with very high expectations because but which is a good thing, and I think we're not being mean. This is a good thing for the indie film market. Like you guys could do this. We've seen it. We've seen low budgets be good. Kill Her Goats, Robotica Destructiva. What's another one?
That's it. That's it. That's it. Those are the only good independent movies we've watched.
Wigwam's Wizard of Oz was really good indie film, and that one was disgusting.
Zombie Cats from Mars.
Zombie Cats for Mars, which I didn't see, but you really love that one.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna rate this at least above Alone at Night because it's a slasher and there was slashing. Alone at Night was a slasher that had 2 kills in it. This at least had like 4 or 5, 6, I don't know, 7 kills. There were deaths in this movie, but I didn't enjoy it. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and Alone at Night was not a indie film. That had big actors. That had Pamela Anderson, some rapper that we don't know. He was the worst actor. It was horrible. Oh man, this one was better than Aquarium of the Dead, for sure.
Okay, can we wrap this up, Bubble?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to add. Oh, wait. How would you fix this movie? Oh my god. How would you fix this movie?
That's basically what I've been saying is you make more interesting kills and you use the theme of the Murdercise. I just thought of another one, in fact, where she could take somebody's face and put it against a treadmill that's running at full speed and like sandpaper it off like we saw in Spare Parts or a few other types of movies. You can just show her pushing her face towards the treadmill and then cut back towards her and you just spray blood on her for like 20, 30 seconds. Relish it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it for sure. Enjoyment. You know, I did like the scene where Phoebe has the chainsaw and they made this fake head of the serial killer. That was cool. They really took their time with that. You could tell the crew had fun with that. Do that with every single kill.
And, I get that that's difficult to do with a low budget to make every kill as intricate as that, but like I said, with creativity and some ingenuity,
Right.
you like, and even if they don't all look as good, where you specifically see the blade going through the face, like my example with the treadmill, you can just show her pushing her face towards the treadmill and then cut away and see the other person getting sprayed with blood. You can do it in a way that can be done cheaply and still, and at that point, you're leaving that kind of thing up to the audience's imagination, which, as you said last episode, is the biggest CGI.
Yeah, it's the biggest CGI and it's horrifying. I think that's a really great way to get your audience involved without having to throw a lot of money into it. And that's all I have to say.
All right, take care, comb your hair.
And remember to mace directly in that serial killer cop's face.
Bye.
Bye.